rugby league then, and we got Dr. Phillips, real Super League pod royalty, Mark. Take it away.
Yes, so, first of all, to Bob, he's had a couple of hiccups over the Christmas period. I think his father-in-law had a stroke, so all the best wishes to him in his recovery. His dog had something going on as well. I hope that's all resolved, because how will Bob listen to the show without his trusty sidekick to walk around the back streets of Leeds with? Well, so all the best to Bob's family. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, definitely.
Anyway, if a Super League player came out, not gay,
just read the question. You didn't need to stop.
If a Super League player
partridge
came out and disrespected the
not gay.
I was trying to do more of a Brent. If a Super League player came out and disrespected the greatest Christmas track of all time, would you dump him?
Hang on, what's the greatest Christmas track of all time?
I think there was something loaded in this that we've missed.
Has Ryan Hall done one of his songs?
Ryan Hall was voted the sexiest player in a poll on the Rugby League fan club, wasn't he?
Ryan Hall did a video where he was singing that David Brent song. There's a Free Love Freeway.
Oh, right. That's not a Christmas song.
No, but hear me out. He did so I wonder if Ryan Hall's done another video where he's singing a Christmas song. I wonder, because then would you dump him? Because obviously Bob
does have a weird relationship going on with.
I don't think there's anything weird about it. I think Bob
not to Ryan Hall's knowledge, but
comfortable enough in himself.
How jealous must he have been when Dom Hodgson got to get up all close with the calendar and all that?
Yeah. Wildly so. I think that's where this is coming from. So I wonder if, and I'm sorry we can't necessarily answer this, Bob, because first of all we don't know what the greatest Christmas. What do you think's the best Christmas song? What's your favourite? What's the one that And can we just say at this point that you can't answer the Pogues?
I was kind of leaning more towards E17.
I was going to say, why am I not? Yeah, actually, that's a better answer than I thought we'd get from you. My favourite's the Darkness one. I like Don't Let the Bells End.
Oh yeah, that was good. Yeah,
that is good, and that sounds quite. But mostly because the Darkness sound like sort of a bit like Queen. The guitar sound is very bright.
Very talented musicians, very talented comedians at the same time.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, anyone who can sort of segue bell end and ring piece into a Christmas song, doing all right by me.
Yeah,
but I can't answer Bob's question.
No.
Although it looks like Ryan Hall is dead to him.
And then this is a question that came out of a conversation we were having, like one of the back ends of the shows where we were talking about Robert Hicks and his ability to even up the penalty count, it feels like, and then us saying that seems to be a bit of a problem.
Less an ability and more fucking abnormal desire.
We did this as like our guilty pleasure of Robert Hicks is Dirty Dancing. Big fan apparently, and Ghost.
I know.
Anyway,
he lives under that thumb.
So Bob says
he doesn't.
No, his wife hadn't. His missus hadn't seen them. Is one of the parts of his tweet that was like the shock factor. Anyway, it says in what proportion of games in the Super League season since Super League pod began was the penalty count even or plus or minus 1?
Right. Well, clearly this has been aimed at me, and I have no answer. So what do you?
Well, we did sort of throw it out there as a generalised sweeping statement, and normally I don't like to do that without backing it up. But, so Bob has forced us to back it up with stats. So in the 536 Super League games played since the start of the Super League pod, 204 of them have ended with the sides either having the same amount of penalties or one either way. Which is 38% of all games. Now,
ridiculous.
If you actually look at like whether there's no penalties difference 1, 2, 3, 4, etc., all the way up to I think the biggest difference was 10 in the Wigan against Widnes game this year. But yeah, the highest amount, so one penalty difference was 100 and something on its own.
Right.
Then 2 penalties difference was about 100. So that actually had the second biggest amount on its own, and then the third biggest was even, and then it tailed off of 3 was slightly more than 4, was slightly more than 5, slightly more than, you know what I mean? And then like 6, 7, 8 was very few and far between. But yeah, 38%. So almost 2 of every 5 games you'll see.
That seems abnormally high.
Yeah,
for me. I would say
that's it does seem a little bit coincidental that they've managed to land that even that many times.
I'm certain there's a policy of it. I'm absolutely certain.
I think
there's an unspoken policy of it.
That almost supports the the suggestion, I would say.
Yeah.
And the fact that then 2 is...
It also says that it's just not just Hicks doing it.
If you put the ones that were 2 into it as well, so 2 difference, 1 difference or no difference, so close penalty counts we're talking about, given that on average is about 10 to 14, say, penalties a game, whatever, that's ridiculous, isn't it? That so balanced so often. If you added 2 into that mix, it was more than half of the games have been settled by a penalty count of less than 2 difference.
I'm astounded by that. That shouldn't be, I would say. Aaron Smith, always a pleasure to hear from young Mr. Smith.
Nice to hear.
Down there in Essex, cruising about, absolutely.
Peddling his wares.
He's not step-toe, let's,
I now want to think he is, though.
Do you reckon?
Yeah.
Senior or junior? Do you reckon he's more like, oh my God, father, you dirty little man? Or is he the dirty little man?
I think he plays both roles well.
He's a big geezer.
Yeah.
He's a big geezer, I think.
Maybe he's more of a Dell boy, then.
Yeah, maybe so. There's been so much Only Fools on over Christmas, it's lovely, isn't it? Right, Aaron Smith, he got in touch and said, I stumbled upon the Clash of Codes game between Wigan and Bath. 3 questions. Did either of you go to the game? In your opinion, was this group of players the best ever Wigan team? And how do you think the present Wigan team would fare against Saracens? So, I haven't seen any of this. I know what occurred, but I haven't seen the game. So I'm assuming you have at least a better grasp of it as an endeavour than I.
I didn't go to the game. No. It was just before my time of really getting into rugby league. And I have seen clips from the games over the years, and I vaguely remember it happening at the time. The Wigan lineup, to answer the first question, it was a special team. I think the backs were very special. I think there's been better collections of forwards over the time, probably in the side, say 5 years prior to this side. I'd say the forwards were probably by and large better. I also think at different times there's been better players in some of the forward positions, as individuals. But the side was Radlinski at fullback, Robinson and Afire on the wings, and Twiggamala and Connolly in the centres. Henry Paul and Sean Edwards in the halves. Then the front row was Cowie, Hall and O'Connor. Houghton and Cassidy in the back row, Farrell Lock in the scrum. The Smiths, the substitutes were Smith, Murdoch, Scott Quinnell and Johnson. I think I think there's been better collections of forwards overall, even though there's a couple of absolute legends in there. Well, Farrell for a start, obviously, but the backs, I'd say, that's the best collection of backs possibly that you put together in a Wigan shirt.
Very good. And how do you think the present Wigan team would fare against Saracens? Well, I don't really know a lot about Saracens, to be honest with you.
That's the problem. I did go to a cross-code game.
Does Chris Ashton still play for Saracens?
I have no idea. I've not watched a game of domestic rugby union since the European Cup went off Sky to BT.
Right.
I've not watched a non-international game of rugby union at all.
All right.
And even then I didn't really know who played for who, sort of thing. But so in 2010, 2009 it was, because it was right just before Christmas 2009, I went and watched a cross-code game between Fylde Rugby Union and Blackpool Panthers.
Oh wow.
They did half each of it, and I did a little bit of trying to find out to remember what happened. So in the Wigan and Bath game, Wigan absolutely hammered Bath at Rugby League. They went more than a point a minute, and then Bath considerably comfortably beat Wigan. I think it was something like 40 odd points to 15 or something like that in the rugby union rules.
Okay.
When I saw Blackpool against Fylde, the first half was under league rules was 40 points to 4 in favour of the Blackpool Panthers side. Then the second half with union rules was 22 points to, apart from uncontested scrums, 22 points to 5. So the overall final score was 45-26 to the league side. But I would say, without knowing too much about the different sides now, sort of thing, Saracen side or whatever union side you want to put it against, broadly I think the outcome would be the same as those things. Obviously, one would dominate in their own thing.
They dominate their own art.
I think the rugby league side might score a little bit better in the rugby league game than the rugby union does in the rugby union one. If anything, I think the league game will be a little bit closer than those two examples, and I think the union game will be even lower scoring overall. And the reason I think this is their players, union players, have become way better conditioned than the amateur teams that I saw, or the set sort of amateur to semi-pro kind of level that they play, and than the team of just professionalised Bath in 95, 96 time. So they become way better conditioned. So the gaps there in that level will be smaller than they would have been in the past. Similarly, our players have got stronger and bigger, so I think we'll fare a little bit better at set pieces in the union game than they would have done back then, just because of size and athleticism to compete athletically with that.
Right.
Because I think our players are generally taller now than maybe they were 15 years ago.
Right, okay.
Or 20 years ago. God, 20 years ago. But so I think it'd be pretty much the same apart from the overall, because of the greater athleticism across both sides. They'd close down gaps quicker, they'd tackle quicker.
Yeah.
But then it'd be an exhibition, so would they even bother tackling so much, and point scoring would be high.
It's always that thing, isn't it? That's always going to be the conversation, and it's always going to be exhibition, isn't it? And I don't know how much you know about this, like the idea of hybrid rugby, where they try and combine the best out of both sports.
Like between the 30s, you play union, and then each end you play league rules. Whatever it is.
Yeah. So maybe that would be the way to do it, but I don't know.
No, it wouldn't. Just just everyone back rugby league more and make it more popular and
of course
better off sport. Yeah,
absolutely. Chris Macy got in touch with us. Mark, shall I carry this on and give you a bit of a break, or are you going to do the honourable thing and keep it and alternate?
Yeah, it's my turn, yeah.
Go for your life then, Chris Macy.
He says, firstly, do you guys dabble in gaming of any kind, video board, tabletop, etc., and do you have any personal favourites?
I can't profess to being any kind of tabletop gamer. It's not something that's ever caught my attention, although I can completely understand the appeal, because I do know a couple of people that do, and they are very into it, so I get why. Board games, nothing beyond the odd game of Monopoly and a bit of Cards Against Humanity here and there, but again, nothing with any real major
we played it with Chris's parents.
Enthusiasm. Did you really?
And Chris's dad had the Bukaki card to read out, but he pronounced it Boo-cake, didn't know what it was.
Who explained it? Who got to explain?
No one explained it. Chris and Hayley wouldn't allow us to explain what Bukaki was to their parents.
But you can still have some fun with that, because then you can tease them and go, well, you two know.
Yeah.
So have that conversation later.
Yeah.
Fantastic. But no, video games I was a bit into as a kid, in terms of, like, Super Nintendo and Mario Kart was a big thing for me. I like that a lot. I do have an Xbox 360, not an Xbox One, and on that I play Rugby League Live 3 and Madden. Now, you may be interested to know that Iranu Uvavu has now retired, so I need to do something more with Rugby League Live 3. But Tom Crook, at the moment, on Madden in career mode, and as I say this, I realise I should make the difficulty slightly harder. But as an undrafted rookie quarterback, won the Super Bowl with the Tennessee Titans in my first season in the NFL, which is probably the sort of thing that happens. And from that,
no rookie quarterback has ever won the Super Bowl.
I'm quite certain, and they probably didn't say.
That's factually true.
No, I'm quite certain you're right, and they probably.
No, I am right.
Yeah, I just said I'm quite certain you're right. Why are you being a dick? And let me get to the other bit, because in my first start, I also beat the record for most passing yards in the game. So I should probably up the difficulty level. But since then, I've gone on to sign a 7-year deal with the Oakland Raiders for about $150 million. So I'm doing very well for myself.
Right, yeah. I don't play computer games hardly at all now. I used to quite a lot when I was a single man, and my playing of games went down from being a teenager who would really enjoy playing games and got into RPG games and shoot 'em up games and all sorts of games, to just playing sports games and tapering it off to just playing them on easy modes just to piss away some time.
Enjoyment, yeah.
Exactly. So I was the same as where you're at, really. Board games, I do enjoy a good board game, a game of Trivial Pursuit or what have you. Recently, I played Scattergrees for the first ever time, and I really enjoyed it. I was very strong at it.
Right.
So So that's going to be coming into the Illingworth House as a new game.
Fantastic.
To play. Yeah, and we both used to enjoy a game of cards, didn't we? In our
we
time?
Do, yeah. I'd like to go back and start up on the poker again. Actually, yeah, we do enjoy that, and a bit of Trivial Pursuits as well. I remember us all enjoying the spot of that too. His next question was stat-wise. I was wondering what team had the highest set completion rate over the regular season, and whether it was reflected in their final league position.